Well, hello and welcome to Producer Dan. I'm Dan, thanks for stopping by the channel today. So today is one of my Inspiration Wednesday videos where I don't talk about music production, I don't talk about mixing, but what I do like to do on Inspirational Wednesday is tell you about something that inspires me, something that I've discovered, perhaps a book like this one. This is The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, and this has been in my bookcase for years. A funny little story with this book. My old job, one of the managers was moving, and he brought in huge boxes of hardcover books and placed them in the employee cafeteria for us to just take our pick. So I like books. I have a bookcase in my living room that I like to fill. And so I grabbed as many as I could carry home with me that day. And this was one of the books that I got. So I was kind of bored the other day looking for something fun to do, something else to do besides watch TV or make music. And so I said, Daniel, read a book. So this has been in my queue for a while, and I'm glad I picked it up. It's a great book of poetry. It's so inspiring. When I read it, I'm like, yes, that's really how things should be written. That's so well written. I wish I could write like that. And there's also beautiful illustrations in this book. All of his books come with a certain amount of his illustrations. The book is only 97 pages long. It doesn't take long to read. You could probably do it in a couple of hours. Or there are a lot of videos on YouTube where the audiobook is available for you. Now it is poetry, so you want to take it slow. You want to take little bits at a time. Read one section, meditate a little bit, think it over, kind of reflect on it. And this book is easy to do that because it's all broken down into small sections. And before I go into that, I'll tell you a little bit about the author. Khalil Gibran was born in Lebanon, so he's Lebanese. And when he was 12 years old, his dad was incarcerated and the property and belongings were confiscated by the authorities. So his mom took him and his brothers and sisters to the United States. And they lived in Boston for a while. I lived in Boston too, so I'm kind of familiar with the city. He started school there, and they put him in a special class for immigrant children so they could learn English. It was very evident to his teachers that he was gifted in art, in writing. So they started paying attention to that, and he started developing his artistic skills, mostly drawing and painting at first. So after a while, his mom saw that he was really taking to the Western culture, and she didn't want him to forget his heritage. So she sent him back to Beirut, where he finished college. And then his sister died of tuberculosis, and so he went back to the United States. His mom died shortly after that. So he kind of had a difficult time there. Then he met some people that helped him develop his artistic career and his writing career. And he moved to New York, where he spent the last 20 years of his life. This was one of the first books that he actually wrote in English. And it's just amazing. It's wonderful. You'd never know, actually. It's a fantastic use of the English language. It's beautifully written. It also was written 100 years ago. This was published in 1923. He was born in 1883 and he died in 1931 of tuberculosis at the age of 48. So there's a big story there. It's an amazing story of an immigrant coming to the United States and making a huge name for himself. This is probably one of the most famous books of poetry in history. It's right up there with Shakespeare, absolutely. So when I read it, I was just blown away by it, and I wanted to share it with you on one of these Inspiration Wednesdays. So here we go. So the book is actually about a prophet. His name is Al-Mustafa. And Al-Mustafa has been in this city called Orphalese for 12 years. Over those 12 years, he's kept to himself. He's respected by the town people, and he observed these people as he is living there. And after 12 years have passed, he goes to the top of a hill, and he sees a ship coming in. The ship is to take him back to his native land. And so he describes his feelings of joy that his ship is finally coming in, and so he runs down into the city. But as he makes his descent, he talks about how his joy turns to sadness, that he has to actually leave this town and these people that he's become accustomed to. And that's kind of a theme in the book, the kind of the yin and the yang. You really can't have one emotion without having the opposite. They exist because of each other. And so at the bottom of the hill, he is met by the townspeople, and they ask him to tell them of themselves, since he's made his observations of them. And so the townspeople asks Al-Mustafa to speak to them of the subject of love. And this is some of what he says. When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. And when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams as the north wind lays waste to the garden. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. Even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. When I first read that, I thought, well, that's just so wonderful. It's just it does kind of show that there's a small price to pay for everything. And he goes on to say this, but if in your fear you would seek only love's peace and love's pleasure, then it is better for you that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor into the seasonless world where you shall laugh, but not all of your laughter, and weep, but not all of your tears. Obviously, that's probably one of the more popular lines to be quoted from this book. And so then the townspeople ask him to speak to them of marriage, and this is some of what he says. You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death shatter your days. You shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of heaven dance between you. I think that's a wonderful way of saying that people should maintain some of their individuality when in a relationship. And he goes on to say this, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. I think that's a beautiful way of saying that. These are just a few of the subjects that he covers in this book, and it really is a book of wisdom. He was a great philosopher, along with being a great poet and artist. Those I thought were very good examples of the yin and the yang of life, and how you really can have joy without sorrow. This was the paragraph that really struck me the most, and it really sums up the book and what he is trying to say about the human condition. So the townspeople ask him to speak to them of joy and sorrow. And he says to them, your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. So that was the paragraph that really got to me, that really spoke to me the most. And again, it's a common theme throughout the book, and his very apt explanation of the human condition. So that is my recommendation for today's Inspiration Wednesday. Again, The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and if you like the content, give me a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Take care.